Hello, I am so excited to be here solo with you in this new year, and I can't wait to share with you. It's like a 10-step refresh because I know, like so many years before, you have all the intentions to get your lives organized. Well, I'm going to share strategies that I use, but also I want you to know you can do one step a month. You can decide to do, I'm going to do three of these refresh steps the first quarter of this new year. So you go at a pace, or you may decide, Jen, after hearing all of them, these are the ones that I really need to focus on. So you don't necessarily have to focus on all 10. But so let's get started. So the first one is plan your week as well as plan the night before. So let's start with the night before. The statistic says 15 minutes of pre planning the night before saves you an hour the next day. So whether you're working from home or whether you just have errands to run, it really helps you eliminate those chaotic times when you're trying to get out of the door. So when I'm working from home, or even when I am working outside of my home, I still plan the night before. I plan if I'm working from home, okay, what will I wear? Will I be doing webinars or will I just be, doing, I call it my creative things. I decide what to wear. I even make sure I add some crazy socks in there. But then if I'm going outside of my home to work on a client site, then I make sure I have my tote. I make sure I know where my keys are. I check the weather to see what I need to wear. So that's how I plan the night before. And then even if I'm just going to run errands, do I need my reusable shopping bags? Am I going to go past the post office? I look at all of that. So I'm being very strategic. But then when you plan your week, because I know you've probably got new planners, new calendars, all of those wonderful things. So then start utilizing them and having a planning session either with yourself or either with everyone in the family, depending on ages, and mapping out. You already know, your work schedule. So what other things do you need to do? When do you need to do the laundry? When do you need to either order groceries online or go actually in the store? What are some of the things you need to do in addition to maybe you're taking a class or maybe somebody has rehearsal or an appointment? Planning all that. So one, you'd have there's no more surprises, but you also have a strategic plan in regards to your time. So that's the first thing. That's like a time management. The second thing is clearing your desk or your workspace when you are done. Because what that does to you mentally is when you walk into that space the next day, it's clear, you're more strategic on what you have to do, and you're not distracted by the clutter and by the piles. So, and also doesn't necessarily everything has to be super neat. I basically make sure I like my desk clean and neat because it helps me. So therefore I take my planner and I put it right behind me on that top shelf of the top bin, I should say, of my organizer. So I can always grab it if I need it. But it really just helps me be more focused on what I have to do. So clear that desk. Organize your home is number three because your home becomes a haven. Your home is a place where you want to rest, you want to refresh, you want to, rejuvenate yourself, but also you want to be able to find things the first time you look. You don't want it to cause stress and overwhelm. 80% of the stuff we keep, we never reference again. You've heard me say the statistic before. So a place for everything and everything in its place. Number four, the important documents. Make sure your important documents are organized and up to date. One of the things I did, in addition to purging at the end of the year, because I always do my end of the year purge, but I also made sure my important documents were organized and were up to date. And one of the things, even though they were organized, I realized that I was supposed to see a new renter's insurance policy because, each year it renews. So therefore, I didn't have the new policy because it was like November. I was in December. I'm like, oh, I need to make sure that I have that in my file or at least a copy of it virtually. So sometimes doing that lets you know, you've already got a system, but just where you need to make some adjustments. Number five, let's talk about the money because we're at the beginning of the year. It's a great time, to start looking at the budgets and just making sure because a lot of times we will start things, We may set up an account here. We don't really fully utilize it. Do you need to delete it? Making sure that you have a budget in place. A lot of people, they're like, oh, I don't want a budget. Budgets help. Budgets help, especially when you want to see your savings growth, see this, really manage your money and know what's coming in, but also what's going on. Because sometimes you realize, oh, wait a minute, we're not even using this service. Or like somebody I know, they've realized that they were paying for a service that actually was part of a benefit from something else, and they didn't have to pay for it. So those, you make those discoveries as well. Number 6. Now, those of you who follow me on social media probably saw the contents of my grateful jar. And it's basically a jar, which used to be the cookie jar when I was a little girl. And I just put one thing in there each and every week that each and every day, I should say, that I'm grateful for. Some people actually do weekly grateful journals. So whether you do a journal, whether you do a jar, but just allow yourself to be thankful for what you have, because clutter comes when we're constantly looking at all the stuff that we want. And really, we have a lot of the things we already need. And of course, number 7, making time for fun. Now, because of schedules and obligations, responsibilities, sometimes we feel like we just don't have the time, but we have to make it. We have to constantly say at least once a month, we're going to get together and do something fun. Each quarter, we're going to get together and we're going to do something fun. So those are some of the things that I'm challenging you in this new year. And also, I'm going to challenge you, number 8, making some me time. There's nothing like time just to kind of sit back and just relax, because you're giving so much of yourself at work, at home, in a community, in life. When are you going to actually give back to yourself? Because in order to do all the things that you have to do, it's important for you to just kind of fill yourself up so you can give from an overflowing cup, not from a cup that's half empty. So I want you to think about that and make sure. And one way you can do that every day. You can do that in the morning, maybe writing something in your grateful journal, doing meditation, walking the dog, doing some yoga. Midday, breaks lunch. It still surprises me so many people who don't take breaks and lunches. You need that to recharge and replenish yourself. And also, you want to make sure that even at the end of your workday, you do just a little bit something for yourself. Whether you dance in front of the living room, listen to a podcast or a book. And let's talk about number 9. I already kind of alluded to with the breaks and the lunch, because we're talking about reducing stress, reducing overwhelm, reducing burnout. And I want to challenge you, because this year I want to be at peak performance mentally and physically. So I want to challenge you, because Magic Mind sent me a wonderful package. I love it when they send me these packages. And see, I always have problems. There we go. And it's like a liquid. You shake it up, and then you just open it up, and then you just take it. See, I've already taken one. See, I couldn't wait. I get excited. So here's my little empty bottle. But I wanted to show you what it actually looks like. But it really helps me, because this is what it does for me. It actually allows me just to be able to manage everything, from the podcast, from the clients, from the speaking, from the stuff I do in the community, the stuff I want to do for myself, without the overwhelm. Because there are times when I look at my to-do list and I get a little overwhelmed, just like you two. But it's like it comes, I feel more focused, I feel more strategic. So I want you to join me uh, on this 7-day challenge, but I'm actually going to be doing it a little longer than 7 days. So you got to have to stick around and just see, all the wonderful things that I've been able to do. I mean, I'm just so excited about all the things that I have on my to-do list. But of course, and I'm going to have all this information in the show page, but I just want to let you know, for limited time offer, you can now you can get up to 48% off your first subscription, or 20% off of a one-time purchase if you just want to try it out, with code CGCO20 at checkout. And again, you go to magicmind.com, CGCO20. And of course, all that information and link will be in the show page. And number 10 is personal development. What are you doing? What are you learning? Are you learning something new? Are you learning maybe, some people are learning bringing out that creative side of them. So therefore they're learning how to actually, do something like a DIY project or a crafting project or maybe something technical. Some people always wanted to learn something technical. I have a friend, she is like a research wizard. She just loves doing a lot of different research on a lot of different topics. So, what do you want to do? So, you've heard the list, and I'm going to share it again, but I really want to know what maybe three. What are the top three? I know I've given you 10 in order to actually do a refresh because that's what it is. It's a refresh. 2024 is behind us. We've got a whole new year in front of us. So, what areas do you really truly need to focus on to feel like you're living an organized life? It might be just organizing your papers, or it might be, you know what, Jen, I've done so much for everybody else. I need some time for me. So let's go through that list again. Number one, plan your week, especially the night before, because that'll help you better manage your time. 15 minutes of pre planning the night before will save you an hour. And then an hour of just strategically planning things can save you 3 to 4 in execution. So you're not running around. Number two, clear your space after you've done working. That's your workspace. That could be your craft space. That could be the space in the garage. Number three, organize your home. Make sure that the things you love and use are accessible and you're getting rid of things that you no longer need. You probably have heard this before, but I worked with a client who, when she worked in New York, she had suits and sneakers because she did a lot of commuting and she had long coats. Well, now that she's retired and enjoying life, she doesn't need the suits. She doesn't need the long coats. She doesn't need the sneakers because she's got a closet full of beautiful clothes. So, and allowing yourself to let go of that stuff. Organizing those important documents so they'll be, actually up to date, but also accessible when you need them because you never know. Managing your money so you'll know what's coming in, but also what's going out and sometimes what you need to cut. Number six, write down something that you're grateful for. If you do it once a day, if you do it once a week, but spend some time doing that. Making sure, number seven, you make some time for some fun. When was the last time you just had fun? And that could be just kind of sitting home with some friends watching a movie. Over the holidays, I watched 3 back-to-back Hallmark movies. We had such a good time. Sometimes it's doing that. Number eight, planning some me time. And that could be just sitting in your pajamas, just enjoying your space. And number nine, taking care of you. And of course, one way you can do that is joining the challenge. It's a 7-day challenge, but let's just start with 7 days and see where it goes. And of course, number 10, making sure that you do something personal development. It could be, you know what, Jen, I'm going to read at least a book a quarter, or I'm going to learn something new, expand what I know. So I would love for you to share that with me in the comments below. What are you going to do? What is the one thing you can do? It if you're going to say, Janet, I'm going to do at least 3, let me know. So again, I want you to join me on my 7-day challenge. And again, I said, mine is going to go beyond 7 days. I think this is going to be like a first quarter challenge for me because I know when I stick with something for so many days, so many weeks, it becomes a lifestyle change for me. So again, you have a limited offer you can use now that gets you up to 48% off of your first subscription and or 20% off of a one-time purchase. So you just go with the code CGCO20 at checkout, CGCO20 at checkout, and you can claim it at magicmind.com/CGCO. And again, that's magicmind.com/CGCO20. And of course, there will be a link in the show page for you to go directly there and either get a subscription or just do the one-time purchase. So thank you so much for joining me. So I can't wait to hear how this has changed the way you feel, the way you live, the way you think.